What's going on YouTube? So even though it's quite the endeavor at this point, we still read every comment on this channel. And when it comes to midsize truck reviews, almost everybody says the same thing. They want a simple truck with a good old-fashioned V6 instead of the super high-tech models that are becoming very common in this segment nowadays. Now, we just spent the last week with the truck that might just check all those boxes. This is the 2025 Nissan Frontier. And we want to know, after living with it for a week, should you put your money where your mouth is and buy this? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's get things started under the hood for our spec dump. Now, like I was just saying at the intro, this is one of the last midsize trucks that comes standard with a V6 engine. This is a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine producing 310 horsepower. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and as far as our combined fuel economy, this model comes in at 18 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Frontier for 2025 is about $33,000, and if you're curious in buying one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get you the best price. Now, this is also a 7-day review, so in addition to getting things like our official Kentucky sound level reading, we will be also talking about our impressions about living with this model for the past 7 days, as well as telling you at the end whether we like this the same, better, or worse after our week with it.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because Nissan has made a slew of changes to the exterior as well as the interior for 2025. Now, jumping into the exterior design, Nissan has made some changes for 2025 with this refresh. You're going to notice some tweaks to the overall appearance up here in the front. There's still a few different trims you can choose between. We have the PRO-4X today. This is kind of the most off-road focused trim level. It's also the most aggressive trim in terms of the design in the front. Now, as far as your logo here, you're going to have the special red accenting, and then the big change is down here at the bottom because the PRO-4X is going to give you 9.5 inches of ground clearance, and it's also going to give you real metal skid plate down here and these recovery hooks for maximum capability. As far as your lighting, we have full LED lighting on your top two trim levels. These are reflector LEDs. You have your daytime running light on the top and bottom and your LED turn signal, and those same trims will also give you LED fog lights as well. Moving on to the wheels, you have 16 and 17-inch alloy options to choose from. We have the optional 17-inch beadlock looking wheel design for our PRO-4X. Of course, as you can see wrapped around it, we have some all-terrain tires, and this trim also comes with the Bilstein shocks. You got some nice hardy cladding that goes around those wheel arches. And as far as our mirrors are concerned, blind spot monitoring will be standard on every Frontier for 2025. However, heating is optional on the PRO-4X.
Now, here at the side for this specific configuration, you're going to be sitting at a length of about 210.2 inches long. And when I do say this configuration, there is some good news here because while some of the rivals have been going to only one configuration, this Frontier actually has multiple different cabs and bed lengths that you can get for this model. Currently today, we have the crew cab with the 5-foot bed, which is kind of your standard affair. You can also get the king cab on most of your trim levels, except for this Pro model right here. And despite it being a kind of deceiving name, king cab is actually shorter than this crew cab. And you can also option on a 6-foot bed onto every single trim level, which is something that is rare and very welcome here in this segment. Finally, at the side, I'll mention here that we have the new Afterburn orange color, which is new for 2025 and exclusive to this trim level. Now, you do have some decals for your PRO-4X branding heading to the back here. And as far as your rear design, you are going to see some nice 2025 changes, which I am a fan of. You're still going to have Frontier stamped into the tailgate here in true truck fashion. And then this PRO-4X is going to get a new finisher for 2025. I think it looks really nice, kind of reminds me of a Ford Raptor or something like that. And another impressive element here in the rear are your tail lights. These are actually going to be full LED, every single element. So you have a reverse light down here and then your LED brake light and turn signal that doubles right there. So very impressive for this caliber of truck. And then looking down at the bottom bumper here, you have a mix of body color as well as matte black. And as far as your tow rating, you have a maximum of 7,150 pounds, which is increased for 2025. Now, very important for truck duty is your bed, so let's go ahead and get into that. You do have a dampened tailgate here on this model, and looking inside, you also see that you have an optional bed liner here that is included as an option on this Pro-4X. It is standard on your SL trim level though. As far as some of your main numbers, you're not going to be disappointed. You have a payload of up to 1,480 pounds, and your gross vehicle weight rating is going to be at a maximum of 6,012 pounds. Now, as far as some of the options you see in here, you have the sliding rails and hooks over here on the side, as well as some LED lighting that is going to be optional within the bed as well. And then you're going to have a power outlet down here as well to help power some tools. And overall, it's going to be a very utilitarian space, gives you everything you need and nothing more, nothing less. As far as safety is concerned, Nissan is going to be including 3 out of your 4 major safety systems as standard equipment on the Frontier this year. The only thing that you'll be missing is lane keeping assist, but you will have lane departure warning, which actually might be better for you if you don't like safety systems interrupting you or jerking your steering wheel while you are driving. But you also have some refresh changes inside this cabin for the Frontier, so let's go ahead and dive in and check those out. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. Now let's head into the interior. First, of course, take a look at the key fob. You do have a standard smart entry system on board. Remote start is optional on most trim levels. And then getting inside, just press this little black button here. That will unlock the door. Now, checking out the interior, like I was talking about, there are some important changes for 2025, especially if you want something a little bit more modern in terms of technology. But before we get into that, let's first talk about our seats. So standard actually on every trim level except the SL is a cloth seat. However, on this Pro-4X, we have the available leatherette seat. As you can see, it's got some unique stitching details on board. Pro-4X branding, really nice looking seat. It's very comfortable as well. It's one of the things I really like about this truck is just how soft these seats are. As you can see, it's also a power adjusting seat. Your lower trims do have a manual adjusting seat, however. And let's go ahead and climb on inside. And now let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Starting out over here on our door trim, we've got a leather pad with a stitching detail, some more of that leatherette through here as well. It's hard touch along the top though. Moving to the upper dash, this is all going to be a hard touch plastic. We do have an insert here of a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. You've got some handlebars. You'll notice we have those kind of orangey red accents throughout the cabin, matching both with the Pro-4X colors and the exterior color as well. And overall, the cabin is more on the utilitarian side of things, but if you choose the premium package and convenience package like this model has, you can kind of elevate the overall experience. And we'll fire it up now with the push button start. Now diving straight into some of the features of the interior, we'll begin with our gauge cluster as always. We've got a very traditional looking gauge cluster, nice analog gauges with a 7-inch multifunction display there in the middle. That contains all the essential information you're going to want to look at, although I will say it is pretty dim since this is actually its max brightness right now. Now you don't have a head-up display or anything like that, but as we've come back to the steering wheel, we have a nice improvement for 2025. Previously, you did not have tilt and telescoping. Now you have both features for 2025, which is certainly nice for getting that ideal driving position. We have the available leatherette covering around the outside edge, and you can also get steering wheel heating as well. Now, let's take a look at interior storage next. I'll pop open our center console. Inside, you'll notice there's donuts inside. because as you know, here at Car Confections, we put donuts inside the center console to check the volume and be able to compare. Well, this fits in 14 donuts, so it certainly passes that dozen donut benchmark. Up in front of that, we've got a new and very large wireless phone charging pad right there. You have your 2 cup holders and another pretty big storage cubby up in the very front as well. As far as the shifter is concerned, you don't have any electronic shifters or anything like that, just a good old-fashioned pull it back. You can bump over here to the left if you want to control shifts manually. No paddle shifters on the steering wheel though. Heading into reverse, you're going to have most models with a traditional backup camera. However, this is the available around view 360-degree camera system. This is something that certainly was not upgraded for 2025. This is the kind of old Nissan camera that most of their models no longer have. So the resolution here is very crunchy. However, it does, ultimately get the job done in terms of helping you see the alignment when you're parking. Also, there's no electronic brake hold or electronic parking brake. You have the traditional foot activated one. So again, that is good for you guys that like to keep it simple. 4-wheel drive control right through there. And then you've got your dual zone automatic climate controls. Very simple to use. Big, easy knobs right through there. We also have heated seats on board. No ventilated seats are available on the front here though. Now rising above that, the next place we come to is this panel for our audio controls. You've got a volume knob for, in this case, a 10-speaker Fender audio system. This is the top version that you can get in this truck, and let's give it a sample right now. This is a nice sounding sound system. We certainly enjoyed listening to it over the span of this week. It's really good for a mid-sized truck. All right, so let's zero in here now on this display because this is a big 2025 upgrade. Now all but the base model comes with this enlarged 12.3-inch display. One of the things that's nice about this display, if you can get past the fact that it is kind of off-centered from the dashboard, is the fact that it is built into the dashboard itself. We hear a lot of comments, especially with mid-sized trucks again, about having those tablet-style iPads that are just glued onto the dash and sticking out. This is fully integrated in. As far as the functionality of this system, it has the Nissan Connect system, so it does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Works quite nicely. The resolution looks pretty sharp. It's been easy to live with and hasn't had any types of errors or anything over the course of the week. Now you've got a little bit more storage up here on the top of the dashboard. We also have the available auto dimming mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. As we look up at the top, we've got the sunglass holder. And then if I press that button right there, that's going to open up our sunroof. As you can see, it's just the traditional size unit. No type of panoramic or anything like that is available because this is a nice, simple truck.
Now, mid-size truck rear seats can sometimes be a downside to some models, but in this Frontier, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. But let's start out with the space figures. I'm sitting at about 33 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom, which, though those numbers are in line with some of its rivals, I personally believe that this is feeling a little bit bigger than most other trucks, such as the Toyota Tacoma. And that is why we bring along the official Car Confections ruler to put the legroom to the test and see how much additional knee room I have behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. And all in all, I'm sitting at about 6 extra inches of additional knee space. I'm 5'9" myself, and that is really nice. I am not uncomfortable in this seat at all. My feet can slide up under the seat, as well as the seats being very plush and comfortable overall, just like the driver's seat. The only thing I will complain about is that the seat backs are very upright, which can be a little uncomfortable after a long distance, but I figure it can be good if you're working on your posture. Now, as far as other elements you have features-wise, you won't have any vents behind the console, but on the SV trim and above, you will get 2 USB ports as well as a household outlet. And then also, here in the seats, you have some cup holders that do fold down. These are absolutely massive cup holders, by the way. I'm sure that they could hold just about anything you throw at them. And as far as your door trim goes, it's going to be relatively the same compared to the front. You have a leatherette wrapped armrest as well as that leatherette panel there in the middle. Lots of hard touch throughout. I wish they would throw in the orange accents that they put up on the front doors. And then you have a large cup holder down there at the bottom with some extra storage. Speaking of storage, let's talk about underseat storage. If Drew could release the seats there, I will go ahead and fold them all the way up. Under these 2 seats alone, you will have some underfloor storage. That also starts on the SV trim. There's nothing under my seat currently, though the cushion can fold up. And I will also mention that once you close these up, you can also fold these seats completely flat to give you a more even surface. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Nissan Frontier. Of course, we've been talking about this powertrain and its uniqueness throughout this whole video, so we're excited to put it to the test right now. We also be testing it on things such as our signature sound level reading, but first and foremost, let's start with a hard acceleration. Oh yeah.
All right.
No mistaking what that is.
Yeah. So there was our 60 miles an hour with the 3.8 liter V6 naturally aspirated. So like we've been talking a lot throughout this review, you know, we see those comments. People are always saying, especially when it comes to trucks, that they just want a simple truck. They're tired of their trucks being so expensive, so complicated, having a lot of turbochargers or hybrid technology. And this doesn't have any of those things. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be very pleased that all trims come with this 3.8 liter V6 engine. It has 310 horsepower and 283 pound-feet of torque. So those are healthy numbers as well. And you can see when you put your foot down, it really does get this thing moving quite swiftly. Now, if we're talking about this against the competition, like I said, 310 horsepower is quite competitive in terms of a power figure, especially at the base end. Now, some of the other rivals do offer more powerful versions, that's for sure. And especially with torque, they also have more torque generally if they are hybridized or turbocharged, like in the case of, say, the Chevy Colorado, for instance.
But I still like that Nissan is making sure that this Frontier can provide you good usability as well. The tow figures and everything that we talked about around the rear of the vehicle, it's not going to be lacking in terms of its overall truck usability.
Now, as far as the transmission, this is a 9-speed automatic. We've had really no issues with this transmission throughout this week. It's nice and smooth. When you put your foot down, you don't have to wait too long to get power. There's no manual transmission offered. I know the Tacoma, of course, still does have the manual transmission on a few trim levels, so it would have been maybe cool to have like a PRO-4X with an available manual, but of course most people aren't buying that anyway, so it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, I know there's been some news around the Nissan 9-speed automatics lately. Even in our own Nissan Murano review, we experienced a little bit of lagginess. Just know this is a different version from what that Murano has, and it's going to be a little bit more responsive in daily usage overall. And as far as your drivetrain goes, you're going to have optional 4x4 on every single model. Of course, this is called the PRO-4X. If you get it without four-wheel drive, it's called the PRO-X.
And now that we're out to the kind of highway section of our drive, let's talk a little bit about the ride quality. So in terms of the ride on this, it's pretty good. You know, most of the mid-size trucks still have that nice classic truck feel that is present here with this model. So you will feel, of course, some vibrations and things like that coming into the cabin. But as far as when you're hitting large potholes, bumps like that, it's really going to take it very well. This, you know, has thick tires on board, small wheels. Here's a bridge for us to go over. Yeah, rides really nice, even without having anything in the bed.
Yeah, and I don't think the all-terrain tires are adding too much noise overall. We'll test that here in just a second. And I do want to say that these seats are very comfortable. Nissan is known for making very nice and comfortable seats, and they're not skimping out even here on a truck. All right, and we are speeding up to 55 miles an hour to get our signature sound level reading. So we are on fan speed 1, and I'll go ahead and get that going. Very nice. We settled at 55.1 decibels before we hit that bridge there. And I already mentioned it with these all-terrain tires, very low amount of sound coming in here, but I don't have to sit here and guess. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to compare it to all of its competitors. Now that sound level reading, it was very good. It will place it at second in the segment overall as far as being the quietest, and it is very much on par with the 25 Frontier that we tested out just a few months ago as well. So very impressive reading overall. While we're cruising around, let's go ahead and talk about our fuel economy. You're going to have 3 different figures. The PRO-4X has its own special figure because of those all-terrain tires. You're going to be sitting about 18 combined on this model. For 4x2, you'll be sitting at 21, 4x4 sitting at 19. Not bad overall for the V6, and it is still pretty comparable to the Turbo 4 rivals as well. Now, as far as what we've been getting this week, we have not had the chance to fully finish out this week yet. We are about to go and do some traveling. Mason is already abroad as well, but we will insert a picture right now as to what we've been getting throughout the past 7 days. With what's currently sitting on the trip meter right now, it has over 500 miles currently logged on it. It's sitting about 19 mpg combined, mostly highway miles to get it all the way down here, but that is still above EPA ratings, but we'll share what we get with you guys as well.
All right, it is time for the Slam Dunk and Airball. So for the Slam Dunk, I think it's just going to be really what feels like the theme of this truck, which is just keep it simple, right? This truck is definitely a lot more simple than all the competition really is at this point, and it's got the things that you say that you want as the midsize truck buyer and none of the things that you don't want.
Now, those comments are not all unanimous though, so if you are one of those people that does want the finer things in life, you want the high-end tech, all of the high-end features, the Airball today is that this will not be the truck to achieve that goal. It is still lacking in terms of technology and some of those more bougie features like power running boards, ventilated seats, heated rear seats, stuff like that you're not going to get in this Frontier.
And then to wrap everything up here, do we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it? We're going to say better, and that's simply because they improved the few things that we really desperately needed upgrades, such as the technology that just made it overall a little bit easier to live with.
Now, mid-sized trucks and just trucks in general as of recent have had a reputation for being very, very expensive, but I think this Frontier will be a breath of fresh air for you. As far as a crew cab 4x2 standard bed model, you're going to be starting at about $33,000 for the S trim. Now, as you go up throughout the trims, you'll be ending at the SL, which starts at about $41,800. Now, this trim that we have here today, this is going to be the PRO-4X. As you can see here by the sticker, we have a 2025 model starting at about $41,770. We have quite a few options today, including the convenience premium packages and some additional paint and accessories. All in all, we're going to be sitting at about $50,245. And yes, that is a little bit on the expensive end, but I think you can definitely get a better equipped model with less equipment for a better price premium. And not to mention, we've also seen a lot of our local Nissan dealers discounting these as well. Now, if you'd like to buy a Nissan Frontier or any other vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, that will get you an access to tools that will connect you to local dealerships to get the best pricing. It will also give you access to invoice pricing as well as a tool to figure out your monthly payments. If you'd like to check that out, you have a link in the description down below, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now, buying a new vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. Let's start with resale value. Using Mason's economic degree, we have taken the time to calculate what we think is a good predicted resale value of this Nissan Frontier. We predict that after 5 years, this Nissan will be worth about 50.56% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, 16.43%. Now, that is right about on par with industry average, though it will be less than competitors such as Toyota, Honda, and Subaru.
Now, Nissan is also right at the overall industry average when it comes to reliability. We've calculated this with the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. Once again, it is right there at that overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale and reliability data, as well as our methodology, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a vehicle is a very big decision, and you want to make sure you're making an informed decision. Now, as far as your warranty, you will be covered by Nissan's signature 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty, and Nissan has now added 2 years and 24,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this in-depth 7-day review of the 2025 Nissan Frontier. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about our impressions with this model over the past 7 days and found it helpful in your purchasing decisions. If you did, we would appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button down below. When you do that, that helps us get access to all of these vehicles that you see here today that we get to live with for 7 full days, and that will get you access to things such as our comparisons, our full reviews, our first looks, and so many other things that we do here on this channel. If you're already a subscriber, we thank you so much for your continued support, and we will catch you guys next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.